Sophie, do you have any maybe ideas about like around self-advocacy? Like what could families maybe be, what could families be doing to advocate for their child with celiac disease? Maybe any hot tips?
I think using the word celiac disease when they're asking about gluten-free foods when out and about. There are some resources that celiac have to support families in talking about celiac disease at schools with the schools. Not really. It's a sort of a journey of building confidence, I guess, and like you said, in being able to talk.
What about, I was going to ask you your perspective from the non-pediatric side of things. If you're seeing a late teens, early adults, what do you have any hot tips in terms of?
Well, I think sometimes the celiac Facebook page can be really useful and member to member. It's not run or monitored by Celiac New Zealand. It's just a member to member forum. And look, I must say, sometimes there's some pretty interesting advice that goes between members, but most of the time there's a pretty quick response. So you'll get help. My child's just been diagnosed. I'm standing in front of the crackers at the supermarket and my eyes are glazing over, and I've read every packet and I'm confused, and what would you recommend? And from member to member support, often you get pretty quick feedback. Well, my child's going on a school camp. Has anybody got some good ideas of how I can manage it? So I always support the celiac Facebook page with a little bit of a parameter.
It's definitely a grain of salt
around it as well. And if in doubt, check with Celiac New Zealand. I've also had a young patient who was about 10, I think, and she did a presentation in class on celiac disease and what it was and what it meant. And her presentation was so amazing that they asked her to do it in assembly. And then she stood up in assembly and taught the whole school about celiac disease and what it is and what it's meant. So I think in terms of advocacy and confidence, it's turning it into something that you can cope with.
Turning it into a superpower rather than a hindrance. Do you know what I mean? Like, framing it in a positive way for the child or the adult or the whoever's in your life that's got celiac disease.
And it's not about what I can't eat. Look at all of these other things that I can eat.
And I guess if you're feeling isolated, there are celiac disease is not rare, and there are lots of other people out there who are going through the same journey as you are, and places like Celiac New Zealand, the Facebook groups, the kids clubs, they've all got really great places for support and that community feel.
And it's quite interesting because as soon as you start talking about it, chances are in your community of people that you already know, you're going to find several other people that are also feeling the same way, but they have celiac disease and they haven't been able to have those conversations yet. But all of a sudden you've got a bigger cohort than you thought you did just by, having some of those more challenging conversations to start with. But again, they'll all get easier with time.
And I think, look, I know it's hard for some patients in some areas of the country. And one of our concerns in terms of the celiac medical panel is sort of equitable access to medical care throughout the country. But if you possibly can, I'd say get an early appointment with a dietitian rather than just trying to wade your way through all the information yourself. It means that you start with a clean slate, you get the right information, and you can move forward from that far more easily.